Ms. Squirrell, your lips are moving, but your sound is unmuted, it appears.
Okay, thank you.
There we go.
I can see the recording on this end is happening. Wonderful.
This is we are recording this meeting. Make sure to let everyone know they're being recorded. Excellent. So I'll have to hop onto stream later and hold the video.
Shankavi, well done for joining us. Shankavi's just walked in straight from her volunteering at the hospital, as well as studying full-time and volunteering with St John. She also volunteers at one of the local hospitals, so she's just finished her shift there and has literally dashed home and got changed.
Got it.
Wow.
We're all quite crazy, pretty much like yourselves. It's a non-stop thing, right?
Yeah, there's no end to it.
It never stops.
I've still got my unit manager ones on there.
Yeah, you still got those ones. Yeah, exactly.
Some dangly bits on the shoulders.
Okay.
Always looks nice.
Shiny bits. You don't have quite as much as Mr. Valentine, I'm afraid, on his hat. Once you've got that scrambled egg up there, that's when you know you're properly important.
Is that what that means?
That's apparently that's to give us, the rest of us minions, a head start that we know somebody senior is coming, because all of the glitter shines in the light and we can see you coming from a distance. I don't know if it's the same in Canada, but in the UK we refer to it as scrambled egg. I think it comes from the military terms.
Yeah, we used to refer to all the senior leadership as heavy heavy metal.
True.
I'll remember that. Your ice cream portion just went down.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh well, before we start officially, I just want to say thank you again for organising this and for coming along, and I really do appreciate all the effort you put into making this a really special night. You are our last special guests for the summer, so it looks like it's going to be a really good meeting, and thank you again for putting the effort in and coming along and spending some time with us this morning. Well, your morning, our evening. We're off to go and have dinner after we're done with everybody and then go to bed. Your day's just starting.
I just thought I'd actually check. I do love my numbers, and I just thought I'd check how far we actually all are away from each other. And it's a smidge over 4,700 miles that we are away from each other, and yet we're able to have a nearly real-time conversation over video call, which is just fantastic. I think
that is amazing.
Technology.
Very
another 32 miles from me because I'm on the west coast of the island.
That's right.
Oh, do you actually live on Vancouver Islands?
I do, Victoria.
Ah, excellent.
Yeah, if I lived in London, I'd be hanging out at the St. John Gate every day.
I do spend quite a lot of my time up there. It's definitely a happy place for me. I get on very well with the staff there, and you can certainly...
Oh, Suzanne, you cut off again. You've gone on to mute.
Oh, magic fingers touching the button. I think that's what it is. They are actually now open, and before lockdown, I actually, I don't know if you know this or not, but the very first ECG machine in a field hospital was at the Brigade Hospital in Etarps. And there are still, in a folder in the archive up at the gate, some ECGs from that time, which you can actually read. And that's my day job. I'm a cardiac physiologist, so I look after people with heart rhythm problems. So specifically, I'm an electrician for the heart is what I do. So I talked to another doctor that I work with, who's another mad historian, a bit like myself, and he reckons that he hasn't seen any ECGs since prior to the 1920s, so he thinks they might be some of the earliest ECGs on record. So once I can get back up there, I'm hoping to do a bit more research into them and see if I can try and do an article on them, so you never know. But I did get told by the museum staff that I was the only one that was going to get that excited about finding 100-year-old ECGs in a box in a room. but they are lovely there, and we really do hope that once sort of COVID goes away, if you guys are coming to London, it'd be our absolute pleasure to sort of show you around and take you around to the gate and introduce you to the staff there, because they are absolutely amazing.
Look forward to that, Suzanne. As soon as travel opens up a little, we have friends in Manchester, so we'll be coming back to the UK to visit them.
Yeah, well, Manchester is not that far by train. It's about 3 hours on the train, actually closer to about 2.5 now. My nan lived in Manchester, so via Ireland. So in the summer holidays, I used to go and stay with her and then go stay with other relatives in Ireland. So I used to come back home after the 6 weeks holidays with some strange mix of a London, Mancunian and Irish accents. And you could see people going, what on earth is that all about? Right, I'm going to start letting everybody in from the gallery.
Sounds good. And if you're only seeing a part of my face, we were just sharing this at the beginning, you can actually do a right-click hover over the image and see the fill frame feature there that drops down. You can click that just to make sure that you don't just see my nose and mouth. Because I have my thing on vertical.
Hi cadets, and welcome to our very special evening. I'd like to give everybody just another minute or so to sort of come in, because we've got a few people arriving in the lobby. We've got quite a lot of people on here. It's nice to have so many people to see faces actually. How has everybody been? Anybody get woken up by the thunder this morning? There was an enormous thunderclap, Canada, at 7 a.m. UK time. That if you were asleep, you probably weren't very shortly afterwards. So, cadets in the UK and our special guests from Canada, welcome to our meeting. You are, as we were discussing earlier, the last of our special guests to join us as part of our Around the World series that we've been doing with our young people to keep them involved in St John during lockdown. Just to let you know that this meeting is recording, so if you have any issues with that, you need to let us know. That was in the email that got sent out to you, but I'm hoping that you're all okay with the meeting being recorded. If you're not, put something in the chat or drop one of the adults an email straight away, please. Somebody else coming in. So just to let you know who we've got on here, I'm going to give you a few facts first of all that Martin was giving out. Martin, do you want to tell people what the distance is between us?
How do you change my name?
Do you click on your name?
Nope.
Someone forgot to mute themselves on their way in there.
They did indeed. We'll go through those rules in a second.
Yep, so our friends joining us today are all over on the west coast of Canada, in Vancouver and the surrounding areas, which if you draw a straight line on a globe will cover about 4,711 miles, depending on exactly where you're measuring from, in a nice little path that takes you straight across the north of Canada, through the middle of Greenland, just south of Iceland, and then down the west side of the UK, cutting across. In fact, if you were to draw a straight line from us to Canada, it would go through almost the centre of Manchester, following on from what you said about your friends in Manchester. If you fly straight here, you'll be able to stop by them on the way over.
There's also a big time difference, and as we said earlier on, despite the physical distance between us, it's great that as an organisation that we can come together like this and join each other. But there is a slight lag, so if you're asking a question, do give a few seconds for your question to go through before expecting an answer. And please, as much as already said, normal rules apply. Keep yourself on mute unless you want to ask a question, just so that it keeps everything nice and quiet in the background, guys. I'm going to hand over now to Richard and Raymond to start, because this is their night to share with us. And as you can see, I forgot to put on my hat. Look, I've got all dressed up for them because of them wearing their nice uniforms. But when you come back to me in a bit, I will just be wearing my shirt because it's far less hot and more comfortable to wear. Richard and Raymond, over to you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Raymond, you want to kick it off, please?
Sure, I'll kick it off, and we're going to start our evening, morning with a little bit of trivia, and hopefully this works.
So guys, what Raymond's going to be doing is in the UK what we would be calling an icebreaker. So think about some of the things.
Oh, we lost you again, Suzanne.
Oh, sorry. I'm on a new laptop, which seems to be very, very sensitive. Sorry. Over to you.
All right, here we go.
All right. Can everyone see that?
Yep, that's
Yeah,
coming
okay.
up fine on my end.
All right. So let's start off with some trivia. We started this tradition, and we just wanted to teach everyone a little bit more about St. John Ambulance. And we're going to test how much you know about St. John. So tonight's question is, which teen star is involved with St. John Ambulance? So if you're not 50 years old or 60 years old or even 30 years old, you might find this question a little challenging. But which teen star is involved with St. John Ambulance? So we don't have the poll function on this platform. So what we're going to do is get you to put into chat your answer. All right. So we'll give you a little bit of time for that. All right, I think that's enough time there. All right, Mr. Liu, if you can start tallying the numbers there. So good luck to everyone. So our question for the day is, which teen star is involved with St. John Ambulance? Mr. Liu, what is the answer that you got?
Well, majority we got out of, I haven't got the whole tally because it's still going, but majority I see is C. And then from first glance, then A, and 1B and 1D.
All right. And the correct answer is C. So our friends from London were the ones that probably answered that. The rest, I think, were just people taking guesses. And the reason why is Hayley Mills played twins in the 1961 Disney classic, The Parent Trap. So you guys might remember that movie. As an adult, Hayley Mills was involved with St. John Ambulance in London and became president of the St. John Ambulance Board, Greater London, in 1988. She was admitted into the order as serving sister in 1999. So good job, everyone. Ice cream for everyone. So if you have ice cream in the freezer, you can just hop downstairs and grab some later on after the session. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Liu.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chow, for this very fun start. Good evening, London, and good morning, everyone here in BC. Bonjour à tous. I'm Richard N. Liu, the Honorary Brigade Division President, and welcome to the pre-event reception. Before we begin, it is very important for us here in Canada to make the land acknowledgement at the start of every event, virtually or in person. So I'd like to acknowledge and recognize that our division is proudly based here in this diverse city of Burnaby, which is located on the ancestral and unceded homelands of the Coast Salish, particularly the Hokaminam and Squamish-speaking peoples. We're grateful for the opportunity to present this special event on the shared territory today. Division 389C is very delighted to take part in this bridging event with the London Division in the United Kingdom. So allow me to first introduce our Burnaby team around the table here. Let's begin with Provincial Commissioner Valentine. Miss Froment.
Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be participating in this event. Thank you.
Mr. Chow.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hopefully you will have a very informative session, and I'd like to welcome all the cadets from Canada and the UK to this session today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chow. Mr. Lowe.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for staying up with us tonight. We hope it's a good session tonight.
Thank you. Miss Huang.
Hello, everyone. For all our overseas friends, welcome to Canada. I hope you enjoy the night. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Huang. Mr. De Leon.
Hi, good day, everyone. I'm Ian De Leon. I'm very excited to be here tonight and be with our London guests. I love that part of the country. Can't wait to get back there. Looking forward to enjoying the evening with you all tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. De Leon. I see our Sergeant Yip is here.
Good morning or good evening, everyone. I'm Sergeant Yip. I'm really excited for tonight's presentation, and I hope everyone is staying warm and good.
Thank you, Sergeant Yip. I'm wondering if Consul-General Davison is here, if you can give a quick hello, as we will hear from you shortly.
Yep. Hi, good morning, everyone. Hello.
Oh, great to see you. And thank you, Consul General. If Suzanne Squirrell, can you please briefly introduce yourself and your team for our guests and our Burnaby members? Thank you.
Well, good evening from London. It has been a bit of a mixed day here in regards to the weather. It's still very sticky hot. So Consul General, you're not missing any particularly nice weather from the UK at the moment. It is our dinner time. So our cadets, while you guys will be going off and having your lunch after this meeting, our cadets will either be going off to dinner or to maybe go and eat that ice cream that Richard was talking about earlier on. So my name is Suzanne, and from a St John point of view, I look after all the young people and youth leaders in northeast London. So it's quite a large area to cover, but it's an area that I have grown up in, and I was born into this local area, so it's actually one that I know quite well. I'm delighted that joining me today are a couple of people now from my youth team, one of which is Martin. Martin, do you want to give people a wave and say hi?
Hello, everyone.
I should say I've been in St John for 37 years, so just obviously only the other day I joined. Martin has been in, how long have you been in now?
Depends when you start counting, but somewhere around 20 years.
Yeah. He says that because for those of you that aren't at the meeting that don't know, Martin is also my son. His first official St John event he attended, he was about 3 months old, which was a St John National Conference that I took the baby along and slept in a tent, because it sounds very much from talking with Raymond and Richard that it doesn't matter what side of the pond you're on, we're all quite crazy in St John and do silly stuff like this. The other person I'm delighted to introduce is Shankavi. Do you want to unmute yourself and say hi to everybody?
Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well.
We don't have specific NCOs on this meeting.
Oh, Suzanne,
you're mute again.
It's the special button that keeps being pressed. I'm absolutely delighted that we've been able to get this done. We started talking with Richard and Raymond 18 months ago because Richard was supposed to be coming to the UK and was after some support in coming to visit the gate and seeing some St John activities, and then this horrible little virus called COVID got in the way and has unfortunately put the kibosh on that and a lot of other things. But one of the things that's been really important to me in my St John career is this understanding that St John is not just in the UK, that we are an international organisation. And one of the things that I have the privilege of doing is officially welcoming new cadets into St John as part of their enrolment ceremony. And one of the things I always say to them is this white 8-pointed cross that we all proudly wear somewhere on our uniform. By wearing that connects us to brothers and sisters and cousins all around the globe. And by being part of St John, by wearing this badge that goes back thousands of years now, really, we become part of a family. And it's lovely that we can't meet up in person, unfortunately, at the moment, but it's lovely that through the technology and Martin's explanation of how many miles we are away from each other, we can as a family come together and say hello and support each other. So thank you so much to everybody for coming along and making our last meeting of having special guests so very, very special. There's always been a special relationship between the UK and Canada, and you are definitely on my list of countries high up on my list of countries that I want to come across and visit at some point. And Madam Consul-General, thank you so much for coming and joining us this evening. I don't think any of our cadets have ever spoken to a Consul-General before, so it's definitely a first for me, and I think it's definitely a first for them. And thank you to everybody for organising this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. I too look forward to visiting you guys once things are safe and reconnect in person.
Absolutely.
So before we formally kick things off, we'd like to use this opportunity to take a virtual group photo. In our case, we call it the Brady Bunch style. So if you're able to turn your cameras on.
So it's in the UK, we don't normally have our cameras on for the meeting, but as we said, we'd like to get a photo. So if you can, I know some of you don't have cameras, but if you can and you're able to, can you put your cameras on now? And Richard will organise taking a photograph of all of us. Hey Maria, how are you doing? There's Maria.
We are putting Microsoft Teams to the test here, I think.
We are. There's Zara. If you can't put your camera on, or you don't wish to, can you put something in the chat function for me, please, so we know not to expect you on? James, do me a favour. For the photo, would you take your headset off for a minute? Thank you.
I'm just trying to figure out the screen function here because I've never used Teams before, so I'm just trying to figure out how to get to the next these pages and everything. Give me a second here.
There's Russia's history. Hi guys. It's so nice to see your faces.
One of the things that you can do is there's a together mode, but it's not quite the same mode. So if you click on those three dots, gallery is normally selected, but there's also a together mode. But it does, if you click on it, you'll see everybody there, but it's actually a pretty fun picture to take.
Just did it. That's so strange.
Okay.
Stuck in a set of steps.
Well, what I'll do is let me take one screenshot first to see if I can get this one. Is Commissioner Valentine? Is his camera on? Do you guys see him? I don't see him on mine.
I can see Commissioner Valentine. He's still there.
He's still there. Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one from here, and then Mr. De Leon, when I cue you, can you take another photo from your end with the together mode, because somehow mine isn't showing up. So sure. Thank you very much. So if you just kind of bear with me here, we'll just get the shot. Everyone look in front here, whoever you are in front of my screen. So 3, 2, 1. Okay, so Mr. De Leon, if you don't mind doing one from your end with the together mode in 3, 2, 1.
All right. I've gotten a few actually.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for your patience. And now we'd like to share a short video that we put together over the past year with participation from members from around Canada and the world, as we are one St. John to share a common goal to stay strong during this global pandemic. Please enjoy.
This is Sujit Vargas from the set of Transplant. Stay strong, one St. John.
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 From the mighty Niagara, stay strong, one St. John.
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 Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. We invite the cadets in London to take part as we will update this video in just a couple of months. Before I begin, I invite the members to keep their headdress on and remain seated during the playing of the national anthems. Please keep your mics muted, especially when our panel is speaking. And if you have any questions during the panel discussion, please raise your digital hands or post them in the chat. Thank you. Thank you. Now I'll hand it over to Miss Squirrell.
Being shouted at by James in the other room that I still had myself on mute. This is one of the advantages of having somebody else in the house with you. You don't have to wait for somebody to try and tell you on screen. They just holler at you from the other room that you're still online. What I'd like to do now is I would like to invite the Consul-General, Nicole Davison, British Consul-General in Vancouver, who represents the UK and British Columbia, Yukon and the Northwest Territories, to make the opening remarks. Ma'am, if I can pass over to you.
Great, thank you so much, Suzanne. And yes, muting and unmuting is just the way of the world now. I don't know if that video would have done anything to encourage your wish to come to British Columbia, but it hopefully showed you a little bit of what a beautiful part of the world this is. So despite my accent, I am actually based here in British Columbia. You mentioned that perhaps not all of your cadets had come across a Consul-General before. I'd like to reassure that this is actually a backdrop. I don't actually have 3 flags in my house behind me. So just wanted to reassure you on that part. As you said, I represent the British government here in Western Canada. I'm delighted to be able to join you today and celebrate the unique connection that exists between St John's Ambulance in Canada and the UK. I do hope that you're all doing well, particularly against the backdrop of this last year. It's been a tough one. I'm actually leaving for the UK tomorrow for the first time in 20 months. So if you could hold on to some reasonable weather for me, that'd be great, but I'm not bothered about the heat wave that you're having, so if you could just park that would be fantastic. If this last year has taught us anything, it is the importance of empathy, kindness and community, and I can think of very few organisations that exemplify this better than St John's Ambulance. As the video said, it really is one St John. This has been a very special year for the Canadian branch of St John's Ambulance. As you may know, it's marked the 75th anniversary of Canada becoming a St John Priory, which is an autonomous entity with St John International. and also marks the 110th anniversary for British Columbia as a provincial St John Council. And I'd really like to congratulate St John's Ambulance here in BC on both of those landmarks. As you quite rightly said, St John's really is a global organisation, and I think those connectivities are so key in these current times. There are over 200,000 St John Ambulance volunteers in more than 35 countries around the world, and it's so wonderful that you've been able to come together today to celebrate the truly unique connections that exist between you, and I hope this is one of the first of many, many get-togethers. So thank you again for all you do. Thank you for your service. It really is truly appreciated, and I wish you a really good meeting. Thanks very much.
Thank you, ma'am. I can't promise about the weather. We're promised thunderstorms for tomorrow, but I wish you well on your journey home, and thank you very much for those wonderful remarks. Mr. Valentine, I believe it is you up next, sir.
Okay. Well, good evening all. Consul-General, thank you for joining us on this auspicious occasion. It's been quite exciting with this past year, having connected with Hong Kong, connected with Great Britain, connected with France, and connected with St. John people right across our great country. We've had a pretty trying year, and St. John has stepped up in so many facets, working in the vaccine clinics, working in the current disaster areas with fires that are going on, and as well working in the hospitals during the heat wave, helping out when the emergency staff were totally overwhelmed by the number of patients that were called on. But today we're going to celebrate cadets. And my information tells me that the cadet organization came to be in England in 1922, and it was for boys and girls between 10 and 17. It was established in Canada in 1926, and the age range was a little greater, 6 to 20. We have juniors, which are 6 to 10. We have cadets, which are 11 to 15. And we have crusaders, which are 16 to 20. And I like to use an analogy that is dear to a lot of the cadets in Burnaby's heart. We're going to talk about ice cream. Our juniors are like tasting fine ice cream. We give them a little taste and we tempt them to come back. Our cadets, we give them a bowl of ice cream and a double scoop cone, hoping we've hooked them and they will come back. And then we get to the crusaders, which are in that zone between being a cadet and being an adult. And we send them out to the ballpark to become part of the farm team. This is where we add some extra toppings to the ice cream, and we encourage them to become adult members of our brigade. And the toppings that we offer are set out in the Cadet Code of Chivalry. And when cadets follow this code and are true to themselves, they receive honors and awards and recognition of meeting that code. And those toppings are the first aid training that we give them. The 4 years, are the years of service badges, proficiency badges, volunteer hour certificates, the Duke of Edinburgh Awards, friendships around the world, promotions, and a sense of belonging. So I'll leave this with you, cadets around the world. Pro fide, pro utilitate hominum, in service, in the service of mankind. And that's what we're all about. And I encourage you to stay and become St. John lifers like a lot of us are. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those wonderful opening remarks by Consul-General Davison and Commissioner Valentine. Good evening, good morning, everyone. My name is Raymond Chow, and I'm the Divisional Superintendent of St. John Ambulance Cadet Division 389C. We are based in Burnaby, and we're located right next door to Vancouver on the west coast of Canada. I will be the moderator for this panel discussion, and we're going to present to you a few generations of cadets who have joined us and been with the brigade for a long time, and there's some new ones. So I'd like for them to briefly introduce themselves. Commissioner David Valentine, whom you heard earlier.
Hello, everyone. I joined St. John Ambulance as a youth member. We didn't call them cadets then, in 1959. And I've been hanging around ever since. So I'm one of the old guys.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have Mr. Tony Lowe. He is our NCO Development and Dress Department Officer for Division 389C.
Oh, sorry about that. I joined in 1990 as a cadet when I was about 14 years old, and I've been off and on, but here I am again. So.
Right, thank you, Mr. Lowe. And we have with you our Crusader of the Year, Cadet, Crusader Annabelle Cheng.
Oh, hi everyone. I'm Crusader Annabelle Cheng, and I joined 3 years ago, so I'm fairly new.
Thank you, Crusader Cheng. We have Cadet of the Year, Squad Leader Elise Ma.
Hello everyone, my name is Squad Leader Elise Ma, and I also joined 3 years ago, so I'm also fairly new.
And last but not least, we have the Junior of the Year, Squad Leader Kaiten Shum.
Oh, hello. My camera's not working for a problem. I don't know why. But hi, I'm Squad Leader Shum, and I joined Cadet like 3 years or 2 years ago. Thank you.
All right. Thank you to the panel. So panelists, I will be asking you a series of questions. Please be frank with your answers, and you will have 1 to 2 minutes to answer each question. So the general questions I'll be asking: why did you join St. John Ambulance, and what is your favorite experience so far? Commissioner Valentine, why did you join St. John?
Well, I had a very selfish reason for joining St. John Ambulance. I wanted to join the Boy Soldier Reserve Program, and one of the conditions of getting accepted was to have a first aid certificate. And I came from a family of 5 children at a time when a lot of money wasn't available. So the only way I could get a free course was to join St. John. And so I did. And here I am, still there.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Lowe, why did you join St. John?
It started off with me taking a St. John Ambulance first aid course through the school, and my English teacher at the time was a sponsor for the St. John Ambulance first aid team. So in our high school, St. John Ambulance members took care of first aid for the school if there was an emergency. So he suggested that if I wanted to continue on doing first aid, it would be a natural progression to join St. John Ambulance. So I did, and still here today.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Crusader Chang, why did you join St. John?
So I joined St. John Ambulance to learn first aid skills and leadership skills. And I also thought it would help me because I want to pursue a career in the healthcare field. So yeah.
Right. Great, thank you, Crusader Chang. Cadet Ma, same question.
I was very interested in learning first aid, and I wanted to have the ability to help someone if they were injured or if they needed that support. And from a friend, they mentioned that I should join St. John Ambulance, and so I did.
Right, thank you. And Junior Shum, why did you join St. John?
I joined St. John's because my uncle, his children, my cousins, joined St. John's, and my uncle suggested my dad to let us join, my brothers and I joined St. John's, so here I am.
All right, great. Thank you. So I would like to now open the floor to questions and answers by our guests. Ms. Squirrell, over to you.
Thank you. You can see I've got changed out of my tunic top. It really is far too hot today to be sitting here in a tunic top. So cadets from the UK, this is your chance to ask the adults and cadets over in Canada some of the questions you'd like to know. You can either unmute yourself and ask, or you can type it in the chat and one of us adults will read it out for you. What would you like to know, or what would you like to ask them? This is where we pause for a moment and see if anybody starts typing. I have to say that video you did, Burnaby, looks absolutely stunning. Right, Yanru, one of our cadets, asks, what's your favourite experience that you have had, whether in meetings or out volunteering? Who would like to answer that first?
Well, I'll jump in.
Commissioner Valentine, yes.
Well, meetings are something that we put up with. But my favorite experience and best recollection of my time in St. John is actually being able to help somebody who was in dire need. And at the end of it, after doing CPR for almost 40 minutes, waiting for ambulance and first responders to arrive, actually saw them come back to life, and the thanks that I got later in the form of a wonderful letter from them made everything I've learned and everything I've done in St. John all worth it.
Thank you. Who else would, Mr. Lowe, I can see you on my screen. Would you like to, what's been your favourite experience, whether in meetings or out volunteering?
I remember back in the day, we used to cover an event. It's called the P&E, or Pacific National Exhibition, and it was every summer, and it would be a big volunteer event for St. John Ambulance and its cadets. So we would, as a cadet or a non-adult member, we would staff the lost children and daycare for the national expedition. So parents would come by in the morning and they would drop off their children, or children that were lost in the fair would be handed over to our care, and we'd basically babysit them. And this is from infants all the way to like preteens. So it was quite the experience. And then later on, when I had my own children, I was like, I'm ready for this. I've changed diapers before. I'm good to go.
Sorry, that tickled me. That really did. Sorry, Ms. Hung. I don't know what I can't get everyone's title right, I'm afraid. Who would like to go next?
Sorry, is that me?
I think so. I can't. Oh, one of the cadets is actually arriving late. Hello, Adrita, you are here. Yes, please. Yes. What's your favourite experience?
Well, I come from the adult division and transferred to the cadet recently, so my experience are from the adult side. But I do remember the first time I go on public duty with a cadet member. I can see the passion and the confidence from the cadets' eyes. Well, my experience will be, even though by our protocol, cadet member usually will assist for paperwork instead actually providing first aid on the patient. But if as an adult member willing to take the responsibility and the liability, actually the cadet member may provide first aid also. So since I see the passion and the confidence in the individual's eyes, I actually challenging myself and asked the cadet actually provide first aid on the patient. Actually, the cadet did it pretty good. I would say perfectly follow the protocol. And also after the patient left,
I can see the excitement in the individual's eyes too, and go like, wow, that's a big encourage for me to like go out public duty actually with the cadets. It's a very good experience for me too.
That's great. Crusader Cheng, am I getting your name right?
Yes, you are. I guess my favorite experience was I think my first year of St. John Ambulance. I was acting as a casualty in a cadet field day. Yeah, and I haven't seen like anything before, like no so there was like no scenarios or anything. I was just learning. So when I did get to see like everyone do all like the treatments and everything, I thought it was like really cool. And yeah.
Thank you. Cadet Ma, are you happy to answer that question as well?
Sure. My favorite experience would probably be also attending the 2019 Cadet Field Day. I was able to volunteer as a casualty during the first aid scenario competitions. And through that, I was able to also organize the first aid kits, which was very exciting for me.
That's great. And then we've got another cadet off screen. Was it Cadet Shum?
Yes. My favorite experience was when I went to junior field day, and I got to treat the casualty with my partner.
Well, thank you for those answers. We've got a few more questions for you. I'm going to go through them. James has asked, do you get to go on any events as a cadet in Canada? What James means by events is going on first aid duties.
Okay, perhaps I can answer that question. I'm not a cadet, but
at heart, right? At heart.
Yes, that's right. For our cadets, they're too young to attend duties. So when they reach the Crusader level, if they have their standard first aid certificate, then they can go and assist as long as we have a supervisor with them. So if there's a supervisor that can accompany the standard first aid certificate holders, then they are allowed to go on duty and treat patients under supervision. Once they reach the age where they can get the MFR or the first medical responder certification, then they can go on duties and events alone.
And how old are you when you become a Crusader, if you don't mind me asking?
When you're a Crusader, you are 16.
Okay.
Yeah, 16 to 18.
So that's a big difference between Canada and the UK then, because actually cadets from the age of 10 can actually go to events and will be allowed to treat people with the supervision of an adult. James, do you want to talk about your first time at the London Marathon? Do you want to share your story about?
Yeah, sure, I can. So I've been doing first aid duties since like I first became a cadet at 10, although I have been in the organisation since I was 5 officially. So a decade this year now, actually.
He's getting old.
Yeah. But when I first went to a marathon, because we're not as first aid trained, we don't really help with a lot of the worst cases in the treatment centre, but we still find stuff to do at a younger age. For example, me and another cadet, we handed out water bottles and Lucasade to the runners, and we ferried supplies around the treatment centre. Although we have been able to help with first aid, like I personally have been helping with first aid ever since then, and I did get to help a bit at that event. So we find whatever we can do, no matter our qualification levels.
And you helped Paddington Bear, didn't you? Was it Paddington Bear?
I didn't help Paddington Bear, sadly, although I did help Jesus.
So if you've never seen the London Marathon, people dress up in really silly costumes and decide that they're also going to run 26 miles. So what James and one of the other cadets did, James was 11, the other cadet was 10, he wasn't quite 11, is essentially they became our logistics officers for the event. We have some quite seriously unwell people at the London Marathon. Because they run 26 miles, it is bad for you. Your body cannot deal with that very well. It is bad for you. One of my consultant cardiologists, he would tell people off if they wanted to do that. But essentially, they made themselves the logistics officers for the day. They were running around all day long, supplying us adults with water, paperwork, any resources we needed, including the various boxes of sweets and cakes that I'd brought with me as well. And certainly now, as a bit of an older cadet, James has been to lots of other events where they are encouraged to actually do some hands-on treatment. Thank you, James, for that. I know that was putting you on the spot a bit. Zara is a new cadet to us, and she would like to know, what was your first situation when you had to use first aid on someone?
Maybe I'll ask Mr. Lowe to answer that.
Sure. This is going back to when I was in school. Like I said, our St. John Ambulance group at the school was responsible for administering first aid to the student body in our school. So the first call was we had immunizations for the measles, and I guess one of the students had taken badly to the shot, so he was unconscious in the classroom. So I was called to deal with that. So yeah, went to the classroom, made sure he was breathing, put him in recovery position, waited till the ambulance showed up, right? But he was fine.
I remember we had a boy, I remember his name was Alexander. They didn't even give him the injection and he fainted. I think it took all of about 20 seconds to make its way around the entire school that he had fainted before they'd even injected him. I kind of remember what the injection was for now, but we were having something done. Thank you for that. Martin would like to know, what is your favourite award or badge that you have completed?
Well, I'll tell you that for me, the honor of being inducted into the order was a day in my life that I will never forget.
Thank you, Commissioner. And Shankavi would like to know, what are you currently doing at your cadet division?
Maybe we'll get Crusader Chang to answer that one, since she's been at all the meetings.
Okay, so because of COVID, everything moved online. So I feel like so we were meeting online like every week. So we were learning or reviewing like we were doing drill, and then we had some lessons on first aid, like reviews and learning new things, while having like quizzes and tests, I think, a few times. And then we moved on to like scenarios, and then I think that was all for like every meeting.
Good, thank you. I'm aware of the fact at the time, but also that you've got quite a traditional question that you get asked, that we've been asked to ask you. Zara, are you still online? Can you unmute yourself? Would you like to ask the panel the question? Do you remember what it was? We spoke about it yesterday.
Yeah.
Go for it.
What is like your favorite type of ice cream?
The commissioner loves chocolate.
Strawberry for me.
I would say chocolate chip cookie dough.
I would also say strawberry.
Mine is probably durian.
My favorite is very Canadian. It's maple syrup and bacon.
Bacon ice cream.
Yeah, we have meat in the ice cream. Tastes really good.
I'll believe you at the moment.
For me, I like any type of flavor, but there is this shop in Vancouver called La Casa, and they have 500 sorbetto flavors. And I'm not particularly fond of balsamic vinegar, roasted garlic, or wasabi.
Okay, that's very different ice cream flavors there. Very different. I'm going to throw in an English version. There's a question that comes up on a radio show in here that's called red sauce, brown sauce, or no sauce. If you are having a sausage or a bacon sandwich, do you have red sauce, brown sauce, or no sauce on your sandwich? So that's the UK version. Good answer, Commissioner. I love a bit of brown sauce and a bacon butty myself. What about everybody else?
I have a bit of Italian heritage on my side of the family, so I like gelato. There's a bit of bacci.
I like pistachio ice cream. And if you were having a bacon or sausage sandwich, would you have brown sauce, red sauce, or no sauce?
I'll go with brown sauce as well.
Good answer. What about everybody else on the panel? I don't think
Junior
you have.
Shum.
Yeah, Junior Shum hasn't answered yet.
Probably no sauce.
No sauce.
Our crusader is quite tacit here.
I'm not really sure. Maybe like a brown sauce.
And Mr. Chow, I think you need to answer, don't you, as well?
I would say all, but not at the same time.
Are you sure? Not all of them at the same time?
No. Depending on the day, I'll try different variations.
Do you have any questions that you would like to ask our cadets or our adults? I think some of our cadets are having some trouble with their Wi-Fi because I see they keep popping in and out. But is there anything you would like to ask us?
Sure, yeah. So if there's any members of 389 or the panel to ask our counterparts over in the UK, now's your chance. Okay, well, I'll start then. Well, my question is, how is the new ranking system going? Because I know over in the UK, they changed all the titles and for everybody.
They did, and they're doing another review. So come back to me in about another 6 months, and I'll probably have a completely different answer for you. So they're doing another what we call a rank and roll review because I don't know, because we can. I guess is my only answer to that. I can only say the more things change, the more they stay the same. And I think Commissioner Valentine is the only one on here who beats me for service time, and I'm hoping so you'll agree with me that we tend to come back round to similar things again. We got rid of NCO ranks for adults. So we only have officer ranks for adults if you hold a rank at all. Cadets, which are 10 to 18, so well 10 to 17, because on your 18th birthday you metamorphosize butterfly-like into an adult member. We have 3 ranks. We have a cadet corporal, a cadet sergeant, and then we have a leading cadet. To have those ranks, you need to have attended at least Leadership 1 or NCO 1 course, which is pre-COVID, was a weekend away, and it's quite an exhausting weekend. I don't think any no, Roshni, you're here, you're a cadet sergeant, so you must have been on the leadership course. It is a long weekend. If you're able to, are you happy to take yourself on mute and talk about your leadership course? Or if not, if you want to put something in the chat, either will do. She's gone, oh my goodness, I can't believe Suzanne's put me on the spot like that now as well. No, she's run away. I know they have problems with their Wi-Fi. Normally what happens is the cadets would come to a location on Friday night. We do tell them where we go. It's not a challenge as to where they've got to turn up. The Friday night would be a bit of an introduction, explain the rules and everything for the weekend, and then it starts getting very formal with room inspections on Saturday morning, drill, uniform inspections. We have our meals together. They're expected to stand when the adult team and the leadership team enters the room. They don't sit down until they're told to sit down. And then the next bit of time off they get is actually on Saturday evening, where they get left to their peers that are there supporting them, who are already NCOs, to talk about what they're going to be doing the next day. And then we finish everything with a final formal parade on the Sunday. I've known a lot of cadets go through this course, myself included when I was a cadet. It is an exhausting weekend, but I've never yet had a cadet say they haven't learned something about themselves, about leadership, about their other cadets that are on the course with them. And then what they're expected to do is go back to their unit and put some of these leadership skills that they've learnt into practice before they're made an NCO. We also have a senior leadership course, which we run jointly with other youth organisations. It's called YOU, and it stands for Youth Organisations in Uniform. And we join up with Army cadets, police cadets, fire cadets. And it's a slightly more relaxed, less formal weekend, although they do tend to have a very formal dinner on the Saturday night. But the weekend itself is more relaxed. And you normally have to be 16 to attend that one. You have to be 13 to attend the Leadership 1 course. And it's far more about different styles of leadership in different situations and sort of moving people's understanding of leadership forward. And then at 14, you do an earlier first aid course when you're 10. And then once you're 14, you can do a cadet operational first aider course, which James finished the other weekend, and there's a couple of other cadets on here who did done that pre-COVID. And then there was an advanced cadet first aider role, which again has been changed due to COVID, but then they can start doing adult courses once they get to 16. So from a cadet point of view, the ranks haven't changed an awful lot, except we went from cadet leader to leading cadet. So they just changed around the wording. From an adult point of view, there was a lot of changes. And we also introduced roll bars, which Martin's got one on his shirt that says youth leader. And we have different roll bars that we wear for different events. And depending on what your roles are, you can have quite a lot of them. I'm going to see if I've got a whole pack of them. Hold on a second. The advantages of being in the office. Here you go. You can be a youth supervisor. That means we're looking after young people when they're out at events. These are my roll bars that should be on my shirt, but don't worry about those. You've got one if you're a trainer. James has got one that says cadet first aider on it. You've got ambulance crew. What else have we got? We've got loads of them. There's loads of them. But there's loads of things like this that go on the roll bar, which is what Valentine is wearing. And it's not related to the rank that you have. The rank you have is related to the role you undertake in St John. And if you change that role, then your rank changes as well, either up, down or sideways. So I hope that makes sense. But we are undergoing another rank and role review, which is actually really hard to say fast. And I don't know what the outcome of that's going to be. So like I said, give me a call in 6 months and I might have a different answer for you.
That's great. Yeah. Over in BC, we have a similar program for the cadets who aspire to become leaders, and that's the NCO LDP, and that basically stands for NCO Leadership Development Program. And it's actually a 5-day camp. So during spring break, for those who are interested, we go over to Chilliwack. We have these big cabins that they stay in. We go through all the leadership training. We have drill. They prepare for their final parade at the end. We have a formal dinner called a mess dinner, which is the fun dinner in between. So it's a 5-day, very intensive camp, and they live the life of, I guess, a real stressed out cadet for 5 days. So up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do exercises. And they have the final parade at the end of the night, but it's fun. There's a lot of learning, and a lot of the cadets, they actually learned a lot about themselves. So for me, I've always been an instructor at these camps because I've never been a cadet myself. So I see the cadets going through the paces, and it's very rewarding that, you know, they come in very shy and quiet, and then by the end of the 5 days, they have just blossomed into this aspiring, competent leader. Mr. Lowe actually has been through the program as a cadet, so maybe he'd like to speak a little bit about his experience.
I've been through all 3 levels of NCO camp back in the day, but it's a very regulated camp, very like the military. So we'd wake up in the morning, you have physical activity, exercises, and you have a room inspection, right? And then you go through your classes during the day, and of course it's all very formal, right? So you come to attention when the instructor comes in the room, right? And but in the end, everyone always has fond memories of it, and you can always see the change in the cadets as they come through it. Because after attending them, I became an instructor as well, so I ended up teaching the same camp. So it's always interesting, like Mr. Chow said, watching them come in one form, going through the camp, and then coming out as a different creature, so to say. It's very rewarding.
We do something similar. So cadets that have gone through the course previously can then come back, and we call it staffing the course, and can become they might still be a cadet, but they become a cadet staff member, and they become responsible for a smaller cohort of cadets and making sure that they're okay. David, Mr. Valentine, you put your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to sort of give you an idea what it was like in 1959. We were in post-war, and at that time, most of the leadership in St. John were veterans, nurses or medics or doctors, and they were used to a very structured background. So even though as a youth member, our uniform was a white t-shirt or a white sweatshirt, depending whether it was summer or winter, and dark slacks and dark shoes. It could be anything, but they had to be dark. And there were an awful lot of, as we called them, little Hitlers running around. They were pretty much, you knew who was in charge, and it sure wasn't us at that time. And I've been really pleased to see how it's morphed into a much more friendly and constructive learning atmosphere than it was. Because for years in all the cadet organizations, junior cadets got yelled at by senior cadets, and it sort of, when you got to be a senior cadet, you did the yelling because you'd been yelled at when you were a junior. And it's nice to see now that we've come into a little bit more reasonable. We're not driving the kids away, scaring them half to death.
That's very similar to the UK as well, sir. That we've moved away. When I was a cadet, we were far more military orientated than we are now, and a uniform reflects that. As I said earlier, the white shirt and the jacket and everything I was wearing earlier, that's now a ceremonial uniform. We tend to look far more like we're in Royal Paramedics with the green shirt on. Although fun fact, we also get confused for Irish rugby fans, by the way. We had the Rugby World Cup over here a few years back, and we were at one particular stadium, and the control room kept saying, "Could you get your members off of that bridge? We need to not have St. John people on that footbridge." And I was sent round to go and check them, and had to radio back in and go, "It's nothing to do with us. The Irish team fans have got exactly the same colour green shirt that we have. So what you're looking at is a whole load of Irish rugby fans, and not us." Because we were looking at it on screen and thinking, there's an awful lot of people there. I'm sure there's not that many of us actually in the stadium. But even so, the organisers had it. Have you got any other questions for us?
I just want to let the of my cadets know that when you go through NCO camp, And when you come back as an instructor at the camps, you earn the right to wear what we call the Canucks jacket. And that's the basic black jacket that you see some of the officers wearing, or some of the NCOs at NCO camps. So you can tell who actually went through the paces and came back as an instructor.
Very good.
One of the challenges that we've got in St. John, we've been looking for a work style shirt because white doesn't stay clean long. And we didn't want to copy the ambulance service, which has gone to black, and they get identified with the police forces around the province. So we've been looking at a similar green shirt, but it's amazing how many people we have in St. John, in BC, and the Yukon Council that are old school. And when we started talking about getting rid of the white shirts, I almost had a revolt on my hands. We're still discussing it.
That's exactly the same as the UK, sir. That when there was a move away from the white shirt, there was a large contingent of more stuck in their ways, if I can say, older members who were like, no, we can't move away from the white shirt. But actually, the green shirt has actually proved to be quite practical. They go with a black cargo style trousers that we wear, which I know in Canada you'd call them pants. In the UK, pants is your underwear. So if you ever hear anybody from the UK laughing when you say that, it's because we think you're talking about your underwear. It's quite a practical uniform to wear. I'm glad to see that's made some of you giggle. They have actually brought out a slightly newer green shirt, which is slightly more lightweight and has some air holes effectively in this area for when it gets very hot, because it's quite a heavyweight material, and in the summer it can be very hot to wear. But let's put it this way, when I started St. John, I had to wear a grey dress and a nice little old-fashioned nursing cap that was white paper if you were doing indoor events, and it was black with a red lining if you did outdoor events. And when you're like me and you have very fine baby-like hair, the amount of clips you have to put in your hair to make this old-fashioned square nursing hat sit on your head and not slip off to the side was, honestly, I think I should have gone and got super glue half the time. And then in St. John, we moved over to wearing the white shirts, berets and NATO-style jumpers. And I have to say, as a cadet, we got given an option of whether we kept our nursing hats or went over to berets. And as the senior female cadet, I definitely voted to go to berets because I hated those nursing hats with a vengeance. And then, of course, we've moved into the green shirt. So I've seen 3 different types of uniform go through the organisation. And I have to say, I think the one we've currently got is actually the most practical out of all of them, and makes us look less like police officers. So we get less confused with police. A lot of the time people used to think we were police officers. Cadets from Canada, have you got any questions for our cadets, or you want to ask anything? If you don't, but you think of something later, please let your adult leaders know. They have my email address. I'm more than happy for you to send in your questions later, and I can either answer them myself or I can ask some of our cadets to answer them for you. Because from my point of view, I'm hoping that this is a start of a long-term relationship. And Commissioner, you were correct in saying that Cadets started in 1922, so next year will be the centenary of Cadets. And one of the things we're certainly looking at doing in our district in East London is how can we celebrate that? What connections can we make? What can we be doing to help celebrate with our fellow cadets around in other parts of the world? And we're definitely going to be coming back to you to help us with that as well, if that's okay. Being mindful of the time, I'd like to say my thanks, but our Cadet of the Year unfortunately is on holiday at the moment. We do have Cadets of the Year. We have a competition that's held every year. It's a whole day. They have to do some work beforehand, which includes them being having to do a presentation. They have several different interviews they have to go through. They have uniform inspections. They have to undertake first aid scenarios. It is a very long day. For me as an adult there, trying to organise it all, never mind for the cadets, we are all exhausted by the day is over. But we do have Cadets of the Year. Unfortunately, Laura's on holiday. The other thing that we have in the UK is something called the Youth Forum. And I'm pleased to say that James is a Youth Forum elected member. And he represents the voice of young people in the district at our regional level. So James, I've asked him to say a few words at the end. So James, if you can bring yourself back on camera and unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi. I would just like to say thank you for all you lovely people in Canada coming over to talk to us people in London. It's been a great experience, and it's also been lovely to hear what it is like over there, because while we are one organisation, it is interesting to see the differences. So as the representative of East London, I would like to thank all of you on everyone's behalf.
There you go, James. You got some applause as well. I'd like to echo that from James. It's been an absolute delight. This has been the most organised meeting we've done with anybody from outside of the UK. We've had some very different evenings. We've allowed everybody to do it in their own way, which from the lovely Catherine we spoke to in Hong Kong included her talking to us from her tent at the campsite that she was on. So, and we gradually watched the sun go down in the mountains in the background. So we've definitely had some very different experiences, which has been my aim as a youth leader for my cadets to have, and it's been absolutely fantastic having all of you here, and I'm so excited as to what we can do going forward, and hopefully seeing some of you soon. We know Richard's hoping to come back to East London as part of his work, and Commissioner Valentine, Manchester's not that far from us. Pop on the train down to Euston, we'll meet you. You won't get lost on the underground. We'll show you around, don't worry about it. And if any of you find yourself coming over to London for any reason, just do let us know. We'd love to actually meet up with you and show you around and take you to some of the weird and wacky places that are around the great city of London, that all of our cadets get used to seeing all the time. But you know,
that goes both ways.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Squirrell, and all the cadets over in London. I'd just like to thank all the panelists for their time and for their insights. It has been very educational, I think, for all the cadets involved here at the session today. What we would like to do with the cadets is perhaps form a friendship, and then also work on proficiencies with our international friendship proficiency. So that's something in the works. So for those who are interested, we'll have more details on that. And with that, I'd just like to thank everyone for the session. And I'll hand it over to Mr. Liu. Oh, sorry, Ms. Squirrell.
I was just going to interrupt and just say we were going to say happy birthday to your veteran as well. But just before I forget, some of the cadets learnt last night, but Roshni, Eleanor, who else did I talk about last night? I've forgotten people's names now. Maria and Yanru are all here tonight. So we'd like to also congratulate them. We have the opportunity to nominate our cadets for something called a Jack Petchey Award. Jack Petchey is from the East End of London. He is a businessman who has earned an awful lot of money and has used that money to put some funding back in to support young people in London and Essex. And these 4 young ladies were nominated and have won this award for their commitment to St John and their hard work during COVID. So we'd like you to help us celebrate their achievement as well. So well done. We're very proud of them all. Thank you.
In the terms of the military, Bravo Zulu.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Liu.
Yes, well, thank you, Mr. Chow. Thank you, Ms. Squirrell. I think this was a very successful bridging event for all of us. I think everyone learned a lot from each other, and especially after 18 months of being stuck inside our various screens. And so I joke around that it's going to be very interesting to see how we all come back together in person. we're going to be expecting to have screens in front of us. Maybe we'll just bring portable ones. But I totally concur that I look forward to future events together. I think this has been a wonderful beginning to our journey of continuing this relationship with all of us in this World One St. John family. So, and thank you again to Consul-General Davison. I'm not sure if she's still here because I knew she had to run to prepare her suitcase, I think, for the trip tomorrow. But we appreciate her, Consul-General, for attending and making opening remarks, as well as to our Provincial Commissioner, David Valentine, for joining us as well on a Saturday morning. Really appreciate your support. And to Miss Froment, I believe, if she's still here, I think, to also for joining us as well. And to all the cadets in the UK, I also look forward to meeting you in person, hopefully sooner than later. But in the meantime, do enjoy your summer. Even if it's really hot there, do have a lot of ice cream. Yeah, so thank you so much, Suzanne, and to you and everyone on your amazing team. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to share some time with you all in your Saturday evening in the UK. So, and out of your regular, you guys usually meet on Friday, if I remember correctly, right?
We do. We have a regular meeting Friday, and so for cadets in the UK that's still here, we've got our last meeting next week, as we discussed last night. Ready for fun and games next week. We've got some quizzes and fun, and they've given me some things I have to go research and see if they're going to work. But if they do, it looks like being a good evening.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. This has been great. My goodness.
Yeah,
Can't believe it actually happened.
It's great. It's great.
It is so wonderful to see everybody here this evening and this morning. Stay well. I'm going to sign off here now. So all the best with the recording, and I look forward to it when it's ready. Thank you so much again.
Okay, lovely.
All right. Stay well.
Take care, everybody. Thank you so very much.
Have a lovely
Cheers.
evening.